Hello everybody, my name is Beck. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be going through all the books that I've been... Ignore this. This is not the pile. I've already shown this before. Anyway, so I'll be going through all the books that I've bought throughout the months of November till present time. I have over 25 books today and hopefully it'll be a rapid fire. I hope I don't ramble too much. Alrighty, here's a sneak peek. I can't carry it because I'm pretty weak, so this is a sneak peek of what I have in the bundle. If you'd like to know where I buy my books from, feel free to leave it down below. Message me on Instagram or TikTok. I'll let you guys know. I don't want to drag out this video. So most of the books that you're gonna see here today is contemporary romance because I think that's the most accessible genre that I can find aside from thrillers and crime and all that. The very first thing that I got is Spy Family Volume 8. I do have Volume 1 to 7. I haven't started the series yet. Saw this on Amazon one day. I think they were doing some deal. My copy is a little bit damaged, but that's fine. I got it for relatively cheap, so I'm not too fussed about it. This is why I'm really reluctant buying from Amazon, but yes, this is the only manga I'm collecting right now. I don't really collect mangas. I tend to just buy novels. The second book I got is The Safe Place, a novel by Anna Downs. I think this one is a thriller, promising debut. I saw this on clearance and that's why I picked it up from Target. I think I was just trying to hit free shipping. For struggling actress Emily Proudman, life in London is not working out as planned. In fact, it's falling apart. And next I got As Long as the Lemon Tree Grows. I think I was trying to hit free shipping once again on Target. I looked at the reviews on Goodreads randomly before deciding to buy this book and it had really good feedback. I don't know when I'll start reading this one because I heard it's very emotional and I'm just not in the mood to read anything too emotional these days. I just want to be happy. I've seen this book in bookshops quite a bit and I've always been intrigued by the cover and the blur sounds pretty interesting. Next book I got is Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzalez. I think I've read one of her books before. It looks pretty familiar. This is a sapphic romance. So basically, these two characters used to date this guy, I think, and they go on this reality dating TV show, and instead of winning the affections of this dude, the two female contestants end up dating each other to get revenge on the dude. It sounds really messy. I hope that makes sense of my explanation. I heard really good things about it, seen it, read the blur. I was like, yes, hell yes. Here's the blur for a better understanding, but from what I've gathered, that's the tea of this whole book, and it's sapphic and it's revenge. So love to see it. The next book I have on me is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. Again, if I mispronounce anybody's names, apologies in advance. I can't read out loud. I always struggle with that. Okay, it's about World War II, which isn't my most favorite thing in the world to read about. I did study history back in high school and it was one of my favorite subjects. Still is. I still really like history, but I don't really like the romance and the theme centered around that. But I'm interested to see what this book is about. I heard really good things about it. Onto the topic of contemporary romance. I'm pretty sure I didn't show you this in my other video, but I have Marriage for One, To Love Jason Thorne, To Hate Adam Connor, and The Heart is Full, all by Ella Mays. So I think she is officially traditionally published here in Australia, and that's why I'm just so glad I didn't buy the indie copies of these books because they were really expensive and I wasn't entirely sure about this author. I did originally read Marriage for One on Kindle Unlimited, but all her books has since taken out of Kindle Unlimited here in Australia. I never really got a chance to finish her backlog. This book is Marriage of Convenience and it's supposed to be enemies to lovers. Let me try to speed things up because I do have more books in the pile. So it's between a lawyer and a girl who wants to open a cafe, but she's broke. In order to secure a will, they end up getting married. There's a lot of tropes shoved into one book from memory. I didn't particularly love this book, but it left an impression on me, so I ended up buying it anyway. I would have bought it eventually. I rated it a 3 out of 5 stars originally when I read it. It's a 3 to 3.5. There were some aspects of the book that I didn't particularly love, but I thought about it a lot. I'm just glad I never ended up buying the indie cover because I prefer the cartoon covers over the original indie cover with the real person. So yeah, I'm glad I got this book. This is why I don't do wrap up videos, because I just keep on blabbing about a book, especially if I've read it and I just want other people to read it with me. I'm the kind of person that would shove a book in. I understand why people do book clubs now, because read the book with me, let's discuss about the characters, let's talk about it. I didn't particularly love it, okay, but I still wanted this book. There's some books on my shelf and on the floor that I don't really love, but I end up wanting to read more about it. It's like almost like a comfort read that isn't a 5-star. Does that make sense? Anyway, this one, let's move on. Let's rapid fire. I'm having deja vu. I feel like I've already discussed about buying these books before in my previous haul, but if I have, I'm gonna cut it out. I think this one is about a childhood crush leading to a movie star, so celebrity romance, childhood lovers. And to hate Adam Connor, I attempted to read this a long time ago on Kindle Limited, but I never finished it. And this one's also about a actor next door. I think this one's a single father trope, if I'm not mistaken. And the hardest thought, I think this one is about American football, so sports romance based in college or university, depending on where you're from. We have Karen Swan, the Christmas postcard. See, I said I'll read it during Christmas. Did I end up reading it? No, I didn't. But this is a relationship between a girly pops called Natasha, who went on a vacation with her fiance. I think it's her present day husband. Anyway, so the both of them go on vacation. She meets this random guy at a bar. The guy was like, don't get married to your current fiance. And she's like, okay, I'll meet up with you afterwards. And then when she goes and tries to meet up with the guy afterwards, he doesn't show up. He ghosts her. Instead of breaking off with the relationship, Natasha just ends up marrying the guy, her fiance. So it sounds really messy. Does that make sense? I hope I described that better than I did last. So this is what the whole shebang is about. She goes on vacation again with the family, with her current husband, and she bumps into the guy again. Messy Christmas story. Didn't read it, but I watched a review of someone who did, and I had to stop midway because I still want to read the book. So the next book I have is Our Missing Hearts by Celeste NG. I have a friend with the same last name, and I've always called her NG, and she's always preferred to be called NG. That's why I say NG, but I think it's is the correct way. Anyway, so this is a thriller. I've seen it floating around on the Goodreads. The reason why I picked this one up was because it was half price for $8 Australian. I do read thrillers, but not a lot. As you can probably tell, I've been buying a lot of contemporary romance and romance in general. But I do read thrillers and mysteries. But anyway, I've heard mixed reviews about this one, but I'm interested to see. I've heard of Celeste's previous works before. I think I've read one of her earlier books. Don't remember which one exactly, but this one's about mother and a child in society consumed by fear. Black Friday sales got me in a chokehold. This one's pretty old, but I do have the Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, the first one. I prefer the cartoon cover, but this one was only $6 Australian. It was on clearance. I do love a graphic novel, but I do prefer like the traditional manga style, but I don't mind cartoon comics. I still haven't watched the Netflix show yet, but I'm interested to see. But I don't really like to watch anything high school or college related because it just brings back trauma. But I heard the show is really cute, and the comic is also really sweet, and the story is really nice. I have one of Alice Oseman's box set, still wrapped in cling wrap. Same with the Caravel set. It's bad. Like, I have both box sets in ebook format, so it's funny. It's not funny. I should really read the stuff that I buy, but I do. I just prefer the ebook format, but whenever I see a sale, I just can't help it. Anyway, moving on. I have Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. I've read The Hating Game and I didn't like that book. I was afraid to like give a proper rating on Goodreads just in case I get attacked, but that's just my personal belief. I know a lot of people like that book, but personally for me, I did not love that book. Once again, I've heard really mixed reviews about it. I know Sally Thorne is an Australian author based in Canberra, which is not too far away from me. And I do want to support an Australian author. But anyway, I do own her other books as well. But okay, this one's on clearance. I've heard really mixed reviews about it. This one isn't exactly a contemporary romance because it talks about a Frankenstein scientific experiment, and I like the paranormal aspect. Would you even call this paranormal? It's like a sci-fi aspect towards this romance book. something a little bit different, and it was on clearance, so I couldn't say no. Next I have is Majesty Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I think this one's about witches, and I love a good witch story. I think this one's also sapphic. I just wanted to buy this book because of the cover, and I like witches. I heard really good things about it. It has a really dark vibe towards the story. I got this during a Black Friday sale, and I'm glad I waited because originally I was gonna pay like 16 bucks for it, but hey, I've seen the US cover and I gotta admit that I didn't think I'll like this cover, but in person it does look better than the actual like picture that you see on the internet. Usually like some US covers are really pretty, but I gotta admit I actually like the color scheme for this book. I didn't think I would because fluoro pink is really loud, but this one actually works out. Okay, so I have this edition of the Songs of Achilles. Hell yeah, I do have the original cover, the original blue paperback cover. Beatrix, if you ever watch this, if you want that book, let me know. I'll gift it to you because I don't need 2 copies of the Songs of Achilles. I am so happy that I managed to snag this hardback special edition for like $12. I'm just happy to have this edition. It's so pretty and has this thingy. I don't know what it's called, but I have it. I have seen this at Dimmings for like $35. I'm glad I waited, and yeah, I got this during the Black Friday sales, but I have read Cersei, so I'm not entirely out of the loop. Okay, the next book that I'm really excited to read is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Anyway, sadly I don't really particularly love this cover. It's okay, it's not that bad the more I looked at it. I heard really good things about this one. It is a cozy sapphic fantasy low stakes book. I got it for $8. I was gonna immediately grab a copy. Once again, I just like told myself to wait. I didn't think it'll go on sale, but it did. I'm just really glad I got it for such a decent price. But Legends and Lattes, I got it for $8 Australian, and I actually prefer the American copy. It's actually not that bad. But anyway, I do love a low stakes, cozy atmosphere kind of story. There's a couple of books that are like that on my TBR shelf, but I need to sort out like what I want to read because there's a lot of books that I want to read. Okay, the next book I have is Ledge by Stacey McEwen. Once again, I feel like I mispronounced that. I'm so sorry. This is a first book of a trilogy, and I don't know if I'm going to continue with the series. I was kind of reluctant picking this one up because I usually like to know if this series is completed and if I have access to all of them, but I think this one's available on Amazon, so it's not too hard to find. The reason why I picked this one up, it was on sale. I was eyeing it for a while. I've seen a couple of book talkers and booktubers talk about it, and I was like, sure, why not? I think this one sounds a little bit dark because it does talk about enslaved, murdered worth. Don't know too much about it. I want to go into this book completely blind, but I've seen it popping around before, so I did pick this one up. The next book that I have is the Atlas Paradox Destiny is a choice by Olivia Blake. I do have the first book, the Atlas 6. I haven't read it yet. I also bought the audiobook. Haven't started it. I wasn't going to pick this one up during the Black Friday sale and I saw it for $6. $6. $6 Australian. You can't even buy a cup of coffee these days for $6 anyway. So I caved and bought it. I was like, I already have the first book. I might as well just like pick up the second book, and the third book comes out, I'm most likely going to pick it up. Once again, I heard really mixed reviews about the first book. I haven't even started it yet, so I can't really comment on it. And I decided to pick up the second book because it was like really cheap. The only thing I really know about this entire series is there's a lot of characters and there's like a romance subplot somewhere. That's what I've heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you enjoyed this series, if you don't, please let me know. I'm interested to see because I've seen so many like mixed reviews about this, but I have it. So I have Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cushron. If I pronounce the author's name incorrectly again, please correct me down in the comments down below or let me know. So I was supposed to read this during Christmas. This is a sapphic romance book, Marriage or Convenience. It is apparently really messy. I've seen so many people give this book a 5-star, and I saw it on Scribd, and I think I'm gonna renew my membership for a month just to like, get through like whole backlist of books that I own, because the chances of me actually physically reading this book is slim to none. Actually, I wouldn't say slim to none. It's not on my top of my TBR list because the season has passed. I thought I would read this, thought I ended up reading a whole bunch of like holiday romance on my Kindle instead. Apparently it's really messy and it's really juicy and it has sapphic romance in it. And on to these two. So I have Addicted to You and Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie. The rest of the Addictive series for this particular order will be released out in the middle of March. So there's the Addictive series and the Calloway Sister series, which is intercept into a particular order. I do have all of the Calloway Sisters. You're supposed to read this one first, this one second, another Addicted third book, and then you can start on the Calloway Sisters. So there's a specific order, and the third book of this series is not out yet, so I like to lie to myself and say I'll just wait until the book comes out in March and that's when I'll start. The third and fourth book is coming out in March. Traditionally published here in the Commonwealth areas is what I meant. Pretty sure you can access these books easily in America and Canada, but more so in America. But anyway, I'm just letting you guys know you can get the traditionally published version with the bonus chapters, and it will be like more accessible and the price will be a lot more doable than what you're seeing right now. Because if you're seeing the indie copies, holy smoke. I also have The Diary of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I've seen this book floating around once again on the internet, heard really good things about it. Vampire. I don't know if you would consider this romance. I did read a little bit of it. The amount of trigger warnings in the first page got me like, ugh. But I'm really glad the author did mention about these things because it's pretty important. And I read the quote, the dedication. It got me in the feels, like, to those who escaped their love like death and to those still caught in the grass, you are the heroes of this story. The text is big enough. If I put my mind towards this, I can read this in probably 2 to 3 days. I did start reading it and then I dropped it because I got distracted. And onto one of my latest purchases. I pre-ordered this book a while back. It is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I love the original Cruel Prince trilogy. I have the box set. I bought it like after I borrow the audiobook from the library. A lot of people hate the book because they think it's boring. It's mainly about fairy politics and family drama. If you're not into that, then most likely you're not gonna like The Cruel Prince. A lot of people advertise that book as romance. It's not romance. It's like a tiny subplot. I've been looking forward to this book because if you read the original story, the trilogy, this book is about Oak. It's a duology, so book number 4 in the series, kind of loosely. Jude and Cotton doesn't really make a cameo. They get mentioned in the book, but it's like not really talked about because it is a new story, like a new era, so to speak. I saw someone DNF this book and I'm kind of scared because I want to like the series. Since I have it, I'm going to read it, obviously. I am both ecstatic and scared to read this. I got this book pretty late. I was gonna originally read this in my December TBR, but I didn't end up reading it. Then I ended up reading it sometime last week. This is like my first proper Anna Huang book. I haven't started the Twisted series yet. I think I'm actually gonna do a Twisted series reading vlog after this. We'll see what happens because I do have like a bunch of work to do and I'm just procrastinating to film this year. I did read King of Wrath by Anna Huang last week, but I also bought this sometime late December. It didn't get shipped out to me until like way later on, but I have mixed reviews about this. There's indeed representation in this book. I didn't particularly care for the romance all that much. If you enjoy billionaire romance, maybe you'll like this book a little bit more. I actually did read like one of Anna Huang's previous work because I got an arc for the If Love series, the very first book, and that one was in a third person or second person. That one I didn't particularly love. It was an average read for me. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. Same with this one. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. It's not the book's fault that I didn't like it. It's just I don't particularly care for billionaire romance and I was more invested in the family drama because I could relate as a fellow Chinese person. I felt it in my core about the family drama. I could relate. Is it exaggerated? Kind of. But am I also rich and well off? Am I an heiress to like a massive fortune? I'm not. So I can't relate in that sense. But in terms of like the family drama and the Asian values, I think a lot of people might see the main character as a pushover, but I could relate. I understood where Vivian was coming from and I understood why the family was the way that they were. That's besides the point. There were some questionable moments, especially with the food food choices. If you've seen the quote, you know what I mean with the soy sauce and the ice cream. But anyway, let's move on. So I did read this and I got it quite recently. See, I do read my book. And I got this book yesterday. It is Loath to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. It is combinations of 3 of the novellas, which is 1, 2, 3. I own the audiobook for all 3 of them on different platforms. I think I own one of them on Apple Books, the other one on Audible, and the other one on like Google Bookstore or something like that. I just go wherever the price is the cheapest. So the first novella is Under One Roof, Stuck With You is the second one, Below Zero is the third one, and I'm mostly excited for the bonus chapter, the exclusive bonus chapter. I have read all 3 of them. If you've read an Ali Hazelwood book before, then the novellas is the same kind of vibe. It's almost like a repeat with a tiny bit of change. The novellas are not bad. It's just like if you've read an Ali Hazelwood book before, then it's kind of generally the same. They do overlap because these characters do interact with each other between the 3 novellas. But anyway, this is my latest purchase that I got. I pre-ordered this like a while ago, but I do own the audio books because they came out like sometime last year, and I just like, whatever Ali Hazelwood writes, I'm gonna buy anyway. So I've also pre-ordered her other book that's coming out in June here in Australia. I think it comes out a lot earlier everywhere else. This is all the books that I have collected between the months of late November to January. I have a bunch of pre-orders coming in, but I am cutting down on my book buying habit. I do have a couple of books that I have pre-ordered that's coming out later this year. I am trying to cut back down on spending money on books. I'm trying to like save money this year. I won't exactly say I'm putting myself on a book buying ban, but I am trying to go through my physical TBR before I buy anything more, aside from the pre-orders once again. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you have anything you'd like to say to me, leave a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content from me. Hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!